Welcome back to TribPreps. I'm Eric Lee alongside Todd Sommerfeldt coming at you to break down this week's games, and we'll just jump right into it tonight. So we had some important conference games across the board this evening. I was at Onalaska Luther at Bangor, Scenic Bluffs. Cardinals conference winning streak comes to an end. Knights get a 20-13 victory. Bangor had won 45 straight. Scenic Bluffs games. You were at Central Holman. Riverhawks picking up a 42-28 win there. Elsewhere in the MVC, Onalaska shuts out Sparta 28-0. River Falls puts it to West Salem 41-7. Logan with a 36-8 win over Toma. In the Cooley, Aquinas over Viroqua 48-16. Westby handles GT just fine 52-7. Arcadia 34, Altoona 22. Elsewhere in the Scenic Bluffs, Cashton beats New Lisbon 42-0. Brookwood picks up a forfeit win over Royal this week. In the Dairyland, Melmin 27, Aliva Strum 0. Blair Taylor falls to Augusta 28-0. In the Ridge Valley, DeSoto loses to Highland 42-2. That's a unique score there. Prairie du Chien falls to River Valley, Prairie du Chien beats River Valley. I'm sorry, Blackhawks fans. 21.
They're both Blackhawks.
Fair enough. 21-0. Caledonia loses in triple overtime to Goodhue, 39-33. Crescent couldn't get the win. They fall tonight 20-0. And Blackbird Falls also falling to Osceola 66-27.
Well, we need to start in Bangor.
Yeah,
I think that's a significant win for Luther.
Yes.
I think some people may have seen it coming. I really thought Bangor would find a way to win. I didn't know they had an significant injury tonight. No, Tanner Jones. So obviously that hurts. Last week they went without Osterley. This week they go without Jones. They're obviously used to having both of them out there. So that played into this a little bit, but give Luther credit.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Tanner Jones. He said before the game that he's dealing with an MCL injury. They're not sure the extent of it. He's going to have an MRI this coming week. But from the sounds of it, it happened in the first quarter of last week's game, and he played
the whole game.
And had a big game, and woke up Saturday morning and could not move. So didn't practice this week, didn't play this evening.
Hopefully he'll be okay and back out there.
Osterley had a shoulder injury last week that kept him out, but he was back on the field tonight. And like you said, I mean, they really relied on those two guys up until this point in the year. So it was a heavy dose of Osterley, and I think Onalaska Luther knew that they were going to get that. And I was fairly impressed with Luther's defense, particularly in the first half. I mean, even in the second half. I'm just so used to watching Bangor's offensive line control the game, and that wasn't happening. They were able to move the ball in the first half, but drives stalled, and even inside the red zone, like Luther's able to hold them. That was impressive.
Tell us about that drive at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say
minute 10 left.
Yeah, even before
the tie.
It wasn't even a tie. Bangor went up by 1.
Oh, okay.
Bangor went up 13-12.
Okay.
With about a little over 2 minutes to play.
Yep.
On Osterley's second touchdown, he had 39 carries tonight.
That's Bangor runs, but they don't want that. They don't want one guy. Usually it's a balanced backfield.
He had 39 of their 49 carries.
Yeah, that's more than what they want to do.
Yeah.
I can't remember what Jones had last week. He had a lot last week too.
So Bangor goes up 13-12 with about a little over 2 minutes to play. Dylan Yang, who about 5 or 6 minutes ago had left the game after, I rewatched the video during the game, and I was like, it looks like maybe he got elbowed in the helmet, but from the angle it wasn't clear, but he was down on the ground holding his head pretty quick, so it was something happened here. And it looked like he just got blocked into somebody and then got accidentally elbowed. After the game, he said he got poked in the eye, and his eye swelled up, and the muscles on that side of his face and his neck like tightened, and he couldn't see. So he obviously wasn't in the game for a stretch, but he comes back in for this drive and has 60. I want to get this right. He had 61 of their 62 yards on the game-winning drive. Some of it was pass. He found a very reliable target in Nathan Riley on that drive. He kept lining up in the slot and kept running outs for 7, 10, 13 yards. Just very reliably over there on the far sideline, on Luther's sideline. 3 times they connected on that drive. And other than that, it was Dylan Yang using his legs to pick up yards until he moved them to the 1 yard line, and Tanner Bass punched it in. And I mean, Dylan Yang's a big guy. And if you're going to play against Bangor, you've got to be physical if you're going to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he certainly met the challenge. He had a couple long runs, but most of his runs, he was just picking up 5 or 6 yards. Like they got down in the red zone, and he had runs of 6, 6, and 4 to bring them to the 1. So it's not like it was just hard nose, and most of them were design quarterback runs. Some of them he had one long, or I guess lengthy, it was about 24-yard gain, option keeper. But Luther wasn't necessarily trying to disguise any of the run plays. It was pretty much, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give Dylan Yang the ball. He carried the ball 18 times for 118 to go along with 95 passing yards. And he just got it done down the stretch. Bangor got the ball back with about a minute left, and Ashton Mishik threw a pick on the first play of that drive. The ball was overthrown. Tight end also fell down on the route. The combination of those two things isn't ever going to end up in your favor.
And that's not what, Bangor doesn't want to be in that position
Right.
to have to throw the ball.
Right.
It's just the way that...
For whatever it's worth, on their scoring drive, right before them, they gave them the lead, they were able to mix in the pass fairly well.
Okay.
They were getting the ball to Sam Kropp, and he was running out routes fairly reliably.
Okay.
Something I thought was interesting was that Mishik was, more often than not tonight, rolling out to his right, and he's a left-handed quarterback.
Okay.
He seemed to be able to set his feet fine. Outside of probably the last throw. But overall, I don't know. I imagine that's by design. I should have asked Todd Grant about that. Now that I'm thinking about it, but they were able to move the ball through the air a little bit. They even were able to draw a key pass interference call on that drive to kind of keep that drive alive. But they were doing a really nice job of mixing run and pass on that drive. And Osterley, that was probably the drive that Osterley touched the ball the least until they got in the red zone, and then it was Osterley, and they scored.
Yeah.
But outside of Osterley, they had Bangor had, where did this go? This has disappeared on me. 57 yards outside of Osterley tonight.
So I think they just something they want. They like more balance.
Yeah, Michigan had a couple of nice runs in the first half on design quarterback keepers, but nobody else could really seem to find a rhythm. Luther was all over the guard trap that they like to run, and Dawson Daines couldn't find a whole lot of room there. But yeah, this is like I said, Bangor's first conference loss in 46 games. It's their first home loss since November 7th, 2014. It's the first time they've lost back-to-back games since 2013.
Volumes of what Bangor is, and this, I think, speaks volumes for Luther and what it's capable of doing this year.
Yeah, I think even, like you said, you just go into this, imagining, even if Bangor's short a couple guys, that they'll find a way to get it done, because that's what Bangor football...
we're all used to that.
And it felt like even in the first half, as both offenses were unable to either capitalize on some of the momentum that they had, or even sustain the momentum that they had. That after Osterley put them up 7-0, like late in the first half, there were like 53 seconds left in the first half, and it's like, okay, well, they've got to score. Their defense has been playing fine. They'll go into half. They'll be okay. And then they gave up a 54-yard touchdown pass to Eli Bolstead on the last play of the first half, and so then it's 7-6 at half, and Luther's right there, and
you lost the momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Congratulations to the Knights.
Yeah, it seems like I keep getting the really, really interesting games just by chance. No, there's nothing wrong. I'm not complaining. I feel like I'm shorting you some of these cool opportunities.
No, I saw Central play a good game tonight over at Holman to beat the Vikings. It wasn't the kind of game I expected, although Holman did move the ball the way I thought it could. Just had that turnover bugaboo that's been killing the team all year. Even in the wins, they've been turning the ball over. But tonight, the big thing was that Central took advantage of them. There was an interception that was followed by a touchdown, 2 fumbles that Central recovered, and they scored off of both of those. Central also, great play by Mason Herlitzky early in the game. Central started with the ball, and Ullman stopped them on downs. A couple sacks on that possession as well. Really got the defense fired up. I think Central had a first down, but sure fired up for shutting them down. Holman goes straight down, scores a touchdown. So, things are really going their way there.
Right.
But the very next snap, Mason Herlitzky, right up the middle on a draw, and through traffic, ran, broke tackles, didn't just find an opening and take off, escaped contact, made a nice tough run, 60 yards for touchdown. And that, kind of started Central on a little roll there, and they ended up going up 21-7, converting another turnover along the way. And Holman comes back and ties it right at the end of the first half. Luke LeClaire had another good game, although he got hurt tonight. It didn't finish it.
Yeah, you said there was crazy cramps, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. And he got hit right. He got hit. It was near the end of the third quarter, right before a rainstorm came through and some lightning. We had a delay, and he got hit on the last play before the lightning. And then he came out, and we had a delay of over an hour. That's one reason we're late tonight. But a delay of over an hour. He came out because they had the ball at the 10-yard line at Central's 10. They were down 14 at that point. So big possession, and ran a couple plays there, and they got stopped. Then Holman had to look elsewhere for quarterbacks. So it was, they were in a bind. But, stop me if you've heard it before. Holman's starting quarterback got hurt. Happens every year. So, they're a different team without LeClaire out there. And like I said, the turnovers is what hurt them. They're up to 23 this season. Go back the last 2 or 3 years and count how many they had all together, and I bet you don't come up with that number. If you do, you barely get there. So a lot of turnovers for Holman. And tonight it happened in a big game. They need to win 2 of the last 3. Now they have to win the last 2. There's a possibility that the teams could get in from the MVC with a 3-4 record in the conference. So if they can win 1 more, they get there, but that's no guarantee.
Right.
You get that 4th win, you're in. So they're going to have to find a way. If they don't want to sit there on pins and needles all night after the last week, they got to find a way to beat Logan and find a way to beat West Salem.
Yeah.
And if they win those 2 games, I thought they were capable of running the table, but Central did well. Central ran the ball well against Holman. I didn't think it would be able to do that. And it wasn't just, Herlitzky doing everything. He passed for 120 something, rushed for 120 something. So it was a big, kind of a breakout running game for him, I thought. But they're coming off a one-sided win over Toma, which doesn't really tell you a lot.
Yeah.
Because everybody's getting one-sided wins over Toma.
Right.
So I thought tonight was a big deal for them to stand up to that physicality that Holman always brings, answer that first touchdown that they had, and convert all the turnovers. They did it all right tonight. So Central inching closer to the playoffs themselves. They just need to win, one of the last two. They play Sparta and Logan. They'll have plenty of motivation for the Arc anyways.
Right.
Especially after Logan beat them last spring.
Yep.
So they want that back. So there's a lot of motivation there. And then the Sparta game before that. So
yeah,
Central's in a good spot after what they did tonight.
Yeah. Anna, another team who's trying to push that playoff envelope. They get a nice, pretty convincing win, especially considering that game also was had some storms.
Well, that too.
I was gonna say that they had a chance potentially to make this margin wider than it eventually was, because this game was called really because of lightning.
Yep, they had 7:48 left, I think. Something like that.
But this was, this was 2, 3-3, 2-2 teams going into the night, and Anna was in complete control.
Ran the ball over the place, it sounds like.
Yeah, Brady Kuhn 15 for 158. So for you who can do math at home, that's more than 10 yards a carry, which is good
For a sophomore.
and a touchdown. And Robert Bonner, a junior, had 12 for 94 and a touchdown. So two guys who will be back next year, doing well. Aiden Larson was sound again tonight, 15 and 19 passing for 126 and a touchdown, and had a score on the ground. Unalaska average 7.3 yards per play. So that'll get the job done.
Yep.
For sure.
And to go out and win that the way that they did it's got to be a boost, especially after last week.
Yeah, they only gave up 132 yards. Too. To a Sparta team that has a lot of playmakers at the very least.
And they had that little run where they were scoring more than 50 a game, beating teams that they should probably go out and beat. This was going to be a significant win for Sparta if it got it. I think. Yeah. I think we all thought Anna was the favorite going in.
Right.
Just because the losses that Anna has are close, and they played well against good teams. Now we'll see what happens against River Falls next week.
Yeah,
that's the next team to get to test the Wildcats there. So far, maybe Holman's played them the best to this point. They had a tight game going with them, and River Falls scored at the end. So we'll see how Anna can do. Speaking of River Falls, they get a big win over West Salem tonight. Not a lot of participation, it looks like, from CJ McConkey, so I don't know if he got hurt or what, but West Salem scored its only points in the first half, and River Falls pulled away in the second half with 20 points, so 41-7 there. So I think going into that one, I thought West Salem's defense might fare a little better.
Oh yeah.
But River Falls has some playmakers there, and really kind of came to play tonight, it looked like.
Yeah, the numbers that stick out to me here are that West Salem allowed 351 yards of offense and 338 on the ground.
Yeah,
and 290 to one guy.
Yeah, that's not West Salem football.
No.
Again, also leads me to believe something must have happened to CJ McConkey in this game.
Yeah. They'll obviously want to get back on track, which, you're talking about Holman, that's not going to make that game any easier for the Vikings down the stretch.
That's the last game.
Right. But you have to imagine that West Salem these last 2 weeks is gonna want to rectify this a little bit.
Yes.
Elsewhere, what do we got?
Aquinas again, another big game.
Geez.
Logan gets the win. That's a game between two teams that have struggled a little bit as of late. It's almost all year. So good for him. Logan's still dealing with some kids in quarantine,
right?
As we found out tonight. But to go there and win that one in that fashion, they've got to be happy. Coming out of that, we'll see what kind of momentum that can give them going into a game against Holman, which has to win.
Right.
In this one, another big night from Jackson Flatmeyer against Viroqua, which we knew would happen.
Yeah. Colin Konzemius, I think that's a nice, like last year, right? When they added Lucas Beck to the team, we were like, okay, this should be interesting. This should be really interesting.
Yeah.
So, what is it like to have a track star on your team? And Colin Kazemius is showing that you get him into space and he is going to score. Second straight
kickoff return.
Yeah, second straight week that he returned kickoff, caught 2 touchdown passes tonight. I mean, speed kills, right? Aquinas has so many playmakers.
And now they got a game coming up against Prescott, which will
Yeah,
be the test of the season.
We should have looked to see how
I didn't see how
they
they did. Yeah, I didn't see how they did today.
That's what we should have looked up, see how they did against Ellsworth.
But that's the test of the season for them.
Yeah.
They've kind of run all over everybody in the coulee. Every game they played, they haven't really been tested yet. I would expect them to get tested next week for that one and have a little better idea of what kind of playoff run this team can make.
Yeah, Westby's won 2 in a row now. 414 total yards. Grant McCauley, 8 carries for 149.
That's more than 10 yards a carry.
That is more than 10 yards a carry. So good night for the Norsemen. Arcadia bounces back. Probably an important game, honestly.
Yeah.
They
needed to put last week behind.
Right, exactly. You don't want that to compound, right, as we get closer and closer to the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Cashton, that Cashton Bangor game last year was really interesting, and now it's
more interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Melmin, yeah, 3 in a row, 3 in a row for the Mustangs,
and another shutout.
Yeah,
it's 2 shutouts in a row.
So, Rafe Radcliffe, I got to watch him week 1 against Bangor, and he's a really good back.
Mm-hmm.
He had 139 yards and a touchdown tonight, and 2 catches for 20 yards.
And Coach Lockington wrote, when he sent in his stuff, he really commended his defense tonight. He's really happy with how that's come on. I mean, 2 straight shutouts.
Oh, yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah. DeSoto gets a safety, but not much else.
That was going to be a tough game to win. Next week, they play Ithaca now next week. That's going to be another tough one. They got these 2 games back to back. They fall out of first place into a tie for second with Ithaca. So if they can figure out a way to win that one, they can have sole possession of second place. They're already in the playoffs.
Right.
So now they're just trying to get whatever seed they can get. So
right.
Another big one next week for the Pirates.
Yeah. Caledonia has now lost 3 in a row. I wonder when the last time that happened was.
Well, every time anything happens with Caledonia or Bangor, we have to look stuff up to see when's the last time it happened. I mean, that really speaks to what both teams have been able to accomplish in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, anytime something happens, you got to see, boy, when did that happen?
Yeah.
The last time. So.
But triple overtime.
Yep. They were in this one, just couldn't pull it out against Goodhue. Looks like they weren't hitting anything real big.
Right.
In this, what was it, 12 completions for 101 yards. So 3 touchdowns. So they, were converting when they had the opportunity, but just didn't result in a win.
Yeah. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up for us tonight.
2:45.
Bright and early. Well, I guess dark and early.
I don't know. Everybody's got to get up early for the parade.
Yeah, Oktoberfest.
So hopefully they can squeeze this in at some point during Oktoberfest.
Maybe just have somebody stream it on your way. Like if you're driving, have somebody obviously pay attention to the road.
Watch it
between floats. Even put it in your ears. You don't even have to listen to the parade, right? You can watch the parade and.
there's gaps in there where you get chances to listen.
Anyway, thank you guys for watching. As always, you can find our stuff on the Tribune's website. That's lacrossetribune.com, or our YouTube channel. Just go to Lacrosse Tribune. You can subscribe, get notifications for videos like these.
And we have to announce we had a breakthrough with our website. It's a lot better to find our stuff right now. It seems like all the recent things are starting to flow to where they need to be. So if you go to lacrossetribune.com, I've been pushing people into our high school section, but if you go to lacrossetribune.com, you can find all the football stuff at least for the next little while up there. If not, follow the sports link to high school, and that's where you can find all this stuff. But we're getting better placement now, which is nice. So you can find a lot at lacrossetribune.com.
Yeah, and just to reemphasize that, the sports stuff, like the URL to go to is lacrossetribune.com. Well, I guess lacrossetribune.com sports/local/preps or slash sports/high school
Yes.
are the ones that you want to check out for all of our stuff. But that'll do it for us tonight, and hopefully we'll see you guys back here again next week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.